Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. "Only this and nothing more." Distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books the seas of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. Sad uncertain rustling of each purple curtain filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before. So that now to still the beating of my heart I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door." Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is and nothing more. My soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you here. I opened wide the door. Dawn is there and nothing more." Into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word that spoken was the whispered word "Lenore." This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word "Lenore, Lenore." Merely this and nothing more. Chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then wonder at is and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter in the step to stately raiment of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance maybe, not a minute it stopped or stayed, but with need of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of palace just above my chamber door, perched and sat and nothing more. Heavenly bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Though thy crest be short and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's plutonic shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Once I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though insides her little meaning, little relevancy for we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. Sitting lonely on the placid bust spoke only that one word as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me as my hopes have flown before." Then the birds Because of his hope that melancholy burden bore, but nevermore. Still beguiling all my fancy into smiling straight. I wheel a cushioned seat in front of bird and busted door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I think to myself, to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant to croaking nevermore. This I sat engaging, guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burn into my bosom's core. This and more I sat dividing, with my head at ease, reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloated o'er she shall press on nevermore. Denser perfume from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God had led me by these angels. He hath sent thee respite, and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind of nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven nevermore. Quoth the raven nevermore. Prophet said, I think of evil prophets still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore. Desolate yet all undaunted on this desert land enchanted, on this hope by horror haunted. Tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven nevermore. Prophets still in bird or devil, by that hand and bent above us, by that God we both adore. Tell the soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant maiden it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and graded maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven nevermore. I shrieked, I'm starting, get thee back into the tempest and the nice Plutonian shore. Leave no black room as a token of that lie thy soul has spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken, quick, the blast above.